LA Sheriff's Department had a secretive unit to target political enemies, as they say. Put it up full mass. No surprise here. This is an update. The LA Sheriff's secretive unit targeted political enemies. Oversight Commission alleges ex-sheriff's secretive unit targeted political enemies. Two former members of the ex-sheriff secretive unit, Alex Villanueva, had a special unit testified to the Civilian Oversight Commission on Friday, exposing details that led to the commission's chair to conclude that, quote, we must be sure this will never happen again. Sergeant Max Fernandez and former Detective Mark Lillienfeld spoke for almost 5 hours about the civil rights and public integrity detail, which was created under former Sheriff of LA and has since been disbanded. Well, what did this secretive unit do? As the Los Angeles Times reported, the new unit drew controversy for targeting some of the ex-sheriffs' perceived political enemies, including former LA County Supervisor Sheila Cole, Inspector General Max Huntsman, and a Times reporter. We have video featuring one of the journalists who alleges she was targeted. Here it is.
The LA County Sheriff's Department started monitoring me after I wrote the history of deputy gangs. That's according to about 800 pages of emails they had to give me after I sued them for those records. That included direction to monitor my social media accounts, a crime report identifying me as a suspicious person, and my information being sent to the department unit responsible for monitoring license plates. This also wasn't limited to me. Several accounts that promoted my work online were also marked for monitoring. LASD created a 29-page dossier on at least one activist who promoted my work, which included he and his family and his roommates' social security numbers, home addresses, and personal phone numbers.
We reported on that particular scenario with the journalist when it first happened. Now we have more of the story, but I said then, this is bigger than just one journalist. Obviously, this is a coordinated orchestration of corruption, violation of civil rights and privacy, done by way of a governmental entity. There's more. In total, however, there were about 55 to 60 cases on which the unit worked, though the public never heard about a handful of the most prominent incidents. Commission Chair Robert Bonner noted that there was a reason those were the only well-known cases for the McCarthy-esque unit. It was set up to intimidate the critics of the then sheriff. He said, we must be sure this will never happen again. Before Friday's hearing, the sheriff took to social media and posted on X. So the LA County COC wants to hold a special hearing and subpoena members of my public corruption unit when they should subpoena AG Rob Bonta and ask him why he lied about the mountain of evidence in the peace over violence case. This is a whole new level of lawfare. Okay, now here's the thing. You see, the sheriff didn't say he didn't do it. Okay, you got to understand the pivot here, because a lot of people will say, well, what is he talking? No. We'll get to that. We'll get to it. Promise you, we'll get to it. But we're talking about you right now. See, he's not denying it. He's just saying he's going to bring others down with him. Good for you all. Happy to hear it. All you got to go. All right. Wise and thoughts here.
You know, growing up in New York, Dr. Richey, I used to think that like it was basically impossible for any police department anywhere to be as corrupt and menacing and just borderline frothing at the mouth, out of control as the worst of the NYPD. Not to say all of these cats are like that, but the worst of them, man, it's pretty scary stuff. Then I moved to Los Angeles, man, and between the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department and the LAPD itself, like, you know, and you guys have covered this at TYT, years ago, it was uncovered that they had their own internal gangs.
That's right.
Okay, like literally gangs within the police department. And that's before we get into this type of intimidation and harassment, lack of accountability for when people do actual crimes within the department. And I'm convinced that LAPD and the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department are worse in terms of its corruption and abuse of power than NYPD. And this is just the latest case of that.
Wow. Obviously, more will come. We're going to update as it does.